Good morning to you. It's 6:45. Let's have a look at the main stories so far this morning.
Israel have fallen out with the United Nations after their chief accused them of causing the build-up in tensions that led to the October the 7th massacre.
Homes devastated, families in temporary accommodation and no hope of a return by Christmas. That's what it's looking like at the moment. We'll bring you the latest on the clean-up after Storm Babette.
And the government are taking migrants out of hotels in battleground seats. Are they playing politics with human lives? There's also a picture of Britney Spears' new book there, yeah. The Woman in Me, it's called.
OK, let's talk through some of those then with the political editor of HuffPost, Kevin Schofield, former editor of the Daily Star, Dawn Neeson. Good morning. We mentioned migrant hotels. Kevin, this is in The Sun, amongst others. A quarter of them to be gone by spring, which begs the question, all well and good, where are the people going to go? Well,
the government are silent on that. I mean, they're saying that they're bringing down the numbers, which is true, actually. The numbers have come down, I think, by around about 20%.
Yeah, but that's coming on the small boats.
Yeah, on the small boats. But, yeah, I mean, where they are going to put them, we don't know. I mean, there's been talk of... They have converted former military bases into accommodation centres. But you're talking lots and lots of people, thousands and thousands. So I don't know where they're all going to go. And also, it's worth pointing out, this will be, if they make good on this promise and close a quarter of them by spring, 300 will still be open. And Rishi Sunak said in January that he was going to close them all. So if you're closing them at that rate, I can't see them all being closed by the next general election.
Well, not if we're putting 39 people at a time on a barge. That's going to take a long time to chip away.
A long time. And the barge itself, I mean, the whole point of this is to save money. It's costing £8 million a day to put them in hotels. But the barge isn't free. The barge isn't cheap, especially when you consider how few people are actually on the barge.
47,000 asylum seekers are housed in these hotels, in 400 hotels across the UK. £8 million a day it's costing us. And ministers have branded that unacceptable. Well, it always was unacceptable. It's not just suddenly happened, is it? And be phased out. But the hotels have announced first are in the real key constituencies run up to the next election.
I mean,
cynical, us.
Sure,
I mean, actually, every constituency is going to be key in the next election, aren't they? They're in danger of losing all of them if the last by-elections or anything to go by. But it's one of those cynical things we're going to get now in the run-up to an election where, as you said, Kevin, they'll announce these things, but the devil's in that detail, and no one ever mentions the detail. Where are these people going to go?
Oh, yeah. But no, you make a good point there. A lot of these hotels are in marginal seats where, this is an issue, an absolutely key issue, which will, I'm sure, win some votes for the Conservatives.
They have caused a lot of controversy, haven't they? A lot of, a tourist industry for a start. I mean, there was one hotel in Cornwall, they were offered over £1 million to rent the hotel out for just asylum seekers and ruin the tourist trade there. But the entire little village depended on the tourist trade. Yeah. So the hotel, to be fair to them, said, no, we're not doing that because this entire village depends on us getting tourists in for them. And it would have destroyed the industry, the tourist industry in that area. Yeah, so it's causing all sorts of problems, not just how much it's costing taxpayers.
Well, mind you, talk about all these hotels. Are they all riddled with bedbugs?
Oh, God. So you're good at this, aren't you? Doing these seamless links.
Semi-professional.
Semi-professional, very semi. This is the Daily Star's front page. Psycho scumbag Vlad makes psycho scumbag critter crisis worse. I don't like the headlines. This is basically, the bed bug scandal that we're facing at the moment. They're invading from France, coming over on those small boats, staying in our hotels, etc., etc. But the French now, because this is where it started, evidently, in Paris, and sort of like the bedbug invasion, they were riddled with it. The French are now saying, actually, they think it's propaganda, fake news, put out on social media by Russian bots.
Why?
To spread fear over the crisis. As you said earlier on, Stephen, this isn't really spreading fear. I mean, there are other things I'm slightly more worried about than bedbugs, to be honest with you.
Yeah. There are some bigger things going on in the world at the moment. But the French are accusing the Russians of saying they were seeking to damage their reputation of the country before the Olympics. So that's what this is all about.
So the French are saying that the bedbugs problem isn't a problem?
They're saying it's not a problem, it's a reputational damage.
But the French would say that, wouldn't they? Because it's...
Should have read somewhere that they were burning their mattresses and,
They were all
Oh,
out
well,
on the
maybe that's
streets,
it, you
weren't they?
see. Oh, well, Vlad's getting his way then, isn't he?
Oh, that's all part of his cunning plan.
All those prisons without their mattresses. I mean, it's a cunning war plan.
You do wonder. You do wonder with all of this sort of thing. Kevin, let's have a bit of fun with it's not often you say you have a bit of fun with Storm Babbitt because it's been misery. However, the dogs have enjoyed it.
Yeah, so there's this viral video of 2 dogs in Northumberland jumping and playing, I don't know if you've seen it, jumping and playing through the foam which was generated by the high winds in the sea. And it's quite incredible, actually, when you see it.
Yeah,
I've
here we
never seen
go.
anything like
Oh, look at that.
Oh, wow.
that. I've never, ever seen anything like that in my life. It's like a giant washing up liquid.
Yeah, if you're listening in on the radio, it's like being in a big bubble bath. I can only describe it as that, and all the bubbles, and you've got 2 dogs kind
like
of
a foam
racing through the
party.
middle.
A foam party for dogs.
Yeah, foam party for dogs.
They're going to stink, though, because
Foam
it's like decaying algae or
Yeah,
something,
it's
isn't
going to
it?
be horrible. But the dogs don't care, obviously.
They'll love it.
Straight in the bath when they get back.
You wouldn't have Rex in that, would you?
Oh, well, try and stop him, that's the trouble.
They
Try and
love it,
stop
don't
him.
they?
Oh, you'd have your wellies on and you'd be joining him.
Oh,
wouldn't you?
yeah.
Surely.
Yes,
Come
I
on.
would. To be fair, I would.
Yeah, of course you would.
Because it does look great.
It looks like, yeah.
But, you know, it's getting the silver lining out of a very big cloud, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I
Storm
know.
Babbitt on
It
that
has
one.
been horrific.
Yeah.
Shall we talk Britney? Because, and I'll tell you for why. Perez Hilton has changed his mind. He wants to do tomorrow instead.
Maybe he had a late one last night. Who knows?
I don't think so. I think the story might be a bit done by tomorrow.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Britney, the woman in me, and I have to say, it's a bit like a Mills and Boon because it's very, very big print. Was it you this morning? Or was it you, Dawn, who said it's more like an essay than a... Oh, no, it's Paul Coit, was it? So
Has
it's
he
more,
read it?
It's more like an essay
He's
than a
read it,
novel.
obviously.
Yeah.
It wouldn't take you long.
How many
No,
pages
true.
is it? How many pages?
Oh, well, let me see. It's 275.
And that's for her whole life.
And it's on I'd say double size, isn't it? So 150 pages.
She's done a lot in her life. I mean, she's had
a tough life,
she's
to
had a
be
life.
fair, hasn't
There's no
she?
doubt about it, yeah.
I mean, she talks about getting pregnant by Justin Timberlake when they were both teen stars, and then having to... She goes into quite graphic detail, actually,
She was
about
like 17 or something.
having an at-home abortion. Yeah, so I think that part is quite moving, so I've heard. And then she also talks about her conservatorship as
Yes,
well.
she does.
Where she was under her father's control, really,
basically
for
controlled her
several
life,
years.
didn't he? Yeah.
Everything,
To be fair, that was
finances.
shocking, though, because he literally had control over her womb.
Yes.
It was like you couldn't have children, you know, you had to use contraception. And it's, like, shocking that a grown woman's body could be literally owned by her dad.
It's a very odd and very uncomfortable situation, but then you have to say that's all ended, and then what happened? She got married and divorced again, and all that. It's all... I don't know, it's a bit worrying.
All I know about Britney now is I just see endless clips online of her dancing, mostly naked, around her kitchen, waving knives around.
Yeah, it's quite sad.
It is
And
quite
it's like,
sad.
that's not really normal. You do have to worry about her mental health.
Wasn't Crimea River? Was that the Justin Timberlake song? Was that about?
Oh, very good, Kevin.
Bit of knowledge there. Wasn't that about Britney Spears?
I don't know.
Apparently so. So people are connecting the dots now on social media. So she has a song called Every Time, which is... I'm not going to sing it, but there's a baby at the end of that song, which people are now saying is about that abortion that
Right.
she had, that baby.
Kevin's knowledge, though.
Yeah, and then in response,
It's a great song, that, actually.
in response, Justin Timberlake released Crimea
You
River.
must remember Crimea River.
Well, the only Crimea River I know is the one by Crystal Gale.
Ah, right. It's a
Well, this is a
different one.
totally different one.
Totally different ones. That's
Yeah.
the
I mean, I wasn't a
classic.
massive Justin Timberlake fan, I have to admit.
yeah.
But that is a decent...
Were you an NSYNC fan then, Kevin?
Oh, God.
Were you
course he
in your
was.
big trainers and your big
Those were the days.
puffer jackets
my
and...
baseball cap back.
I've got you down more as AC/DC, Metallica. What do you reckon?
Lemonade.
You're wrong, I'm afraid.
Oh, come on, the Proclaimers, I
I
think.
do like Proclaimers.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, cliche.
What a surprise.
Oh, we got there in the end.
Yeah.
What a surprise.
Live band.
Look, I'm always very suspicious of these sort of things. I mean, she clearly hasn't written it herself.
No.
You can tell just by the way it's written.
I must confess I haven't read it. I've read excerpts, but...
Was that intentional, I must confess? A Britney Spears lyric there. That's a Britney Spears lyric.
What is
I thought you just said, I must confess. I must
Ah,
I didn't know that.
Subliminal.
I'm Team Madness. I'm Britney.
Oh, see, I did quite like Britney. But on a serious note, I think this was 2007 when Britney Spears actually had her breakdown. I do think reading this, only the few little excerpts that I have read, she would be treated differently now, wouldn't
Absolutely,
she?
a lot more sympathetic.
23.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think she has had a very tough time.
Very tough.
In the media especially.
I tell you what, child stars. Who would want to be a child star? Which parent would want their child to be a child star? Because it's a recipe for disaster, isn't it?
Yeah. But then
I've seen
again...
it time and time again.
Oh, it's interesting to talk about the mental health aspect and how different she would be treated. I was editing a national newspaper when she did that shaving off her hair and went attacking paparazzi with her umbrella, and we splashed on that picture, a very dramatic picture, and it's all the papers did, it wasn't just mine, and it sold really well. But would you do that now? I can't remember what the headline was, but I'm sure it wasn't as sympathetic as it would be now.
But that is someone having a mental breakdown, isn't it? A cry for help.
Personal crisis, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And she said at the time it was because she felt like she was, gratified really by the media and stared at, and she wanted to get rid of it, essentially. That's why she shaved her
she's
head.
doing that now by taking all her clothes off and dancing around and putting it on social media. I mean, as you say, there's mental health issues here that you can't begin to imagine.
Yeah, and we don't really know how well she is now, do we? I think she's had a very difficult life. But if there's one positive to take from this, she's found her voice, at least, even if it's through a ghostwriter. I mean, we're now hearing her version of events. First time it's happened.
I just sort of think, I do wonder why people do this.
What, write a book?
When you read some of this, I'm not going to read it out because it's a little bit...
Once upon a time, come on, Stephen.
But, it's a bit too personal. Some of the...
Really?
Which is that?
I'll sure tell you in a minute. I just don't want to say it on breakfast TV. But, it's a bit... So then why would you... I don't know why you'd want to share that level of information with
I guess
people.
that was part of the deal, probably. We'll give you the deal, but it has to be no holds barred, because that's what people want to read.
Yeah, I suppose so. She has got 2 children, though, so I wonder what they make of this book. And probably hearing for the first time their mother's account of things. I think they've been under the care of their father, obviously, since she's been in the conservatorship. So that'll be very interesting. And that's who she dedicates her book to, actually, her 2 sons. So
I wouldn't, Rich. I tell you what, all these, you get it now, don't you? I mean, everyone wants to be on reality TV, and everybody wants fame nowadays. It's a kiss of death for a lot of people.
So Stephen, if they phoned up tomorrow and asked you to go on Strictly Come Dancing or Bake Off, maybe, like a biscuit,
Perhaps they have.
I do. Well, no. Well, I've always said, because people do.
You're hesitating.
No,
you do Strictly for sure.
No, I wouldn't. I don't think I would.
I think you would.
I don't think I would. I definitely wouldn't do the jungle. I'm a bake-off, because that's just a bit lighter. But no, I've always been like, I don't want to do that sort of thing. But you never know. Never say. Depends how big the check is, basically.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, thank you both very much indeed. More from you in a moment. Let's have a look at the weather.